Dacha How, Washa Michael Larson, Washa Nieman Depungyu. Hello, everybody. This is Mike Larson from BBC IML, and this is A Moment with Mike. So I'm out here by the shore of Lake Superior. It's a little cool out here today. Actually, I have my sweatshirt on. But what I do is I do business and personal mentoring and coaching. I create sales, leadership, coaching, team building, and hiring processes for businesses. So today, I was thinking a little bit about my life and things that I've been through in my life. And I was thinking back to a time when I lived in the Twin Cities, and I got a job offer at a lumber yard in the Twin Cities. It was a chain of lumber yards, and I went for my interview, and I interviewed with the president of all these lumber yards. And then I was to go to this lumber yard, and I was already hired. And I went to this lumber yard and went in and was introduced to the manager of this particular lumber yard. And I remember he wasn't expecting me. He didn't even know I'd been hired. So I got off on the wrong foot right away with him. And so he was hard on me, but I was young and I was naive. And I didn't understand at this point what that meant. What that meant was it should have been a blessing for me. It should have taught me, it should have motivated me to be better, to live up to something he wasn't expecting from me. He was probably, and I'm not saying this for sure, but he was likely looking for a reason to prove he should have been the one that was hiring. So he was hard on me. I didn't see that for the opportunity it really was. The opportunity was there for me to prove that I was what I was hired for. And he was maybe a little bit against me, but I don't know that for sure. But my thinking was that he was against me, and it gave me an excuse to not be everything that I should have been at that moment. See, all suffering comes from attachment, but not all attachment creates suffering. In this instance, attachment created suffering for me. I was attached to external things around me. I wasn't bringing life through me. So I saw the situation. I knew what the situation was, and everything about that situation was external. It was physical. And when we live our life in the physical world and we find excuses in the physical world, we have no control over that. And what it does is it gives us an excuse not to be everything we can possibly be. The attachment was okay, but what I did was I attached myself to something that I had no control over. I gave myself an excuse not to succeed because he wasn't giving me a chance, which was baloney. Nobody would have been any happier than he would have been if I had gone in there and I would have killed it. And I would have done everything that the president had hired me to do. But instead, I saw the physical world. I saw the look on his face, and I used it as an excuse to not be everything I could possibly be. If I had turned that around and I had realized at the time that everything we are capable of doing, everything we want to do, anything we want to achieve in life, if we just live life through us. If I wouldn't have given myself an excuse to not produce the way I knew I could, and I failed myself and gave myself pain because I attached myself to external forces rather than attaching myself to and living life through me. And because of that, I was reactionary. I was reacting to everything that was happening, and you're always a step behind when you're in reaction mode. What we should be is in progressive mode. We should be thinking out ahead and thinking how we're going to achieve and focusing on achieving, not focusing on trying to prove somebody else is wrong. Yesterday I talked about it, and we never want to try and get even with somebody. That's God's job. Our job is to be the best person we can possibly be and live life through ourselves. Well, this job didn't go well. There was a lot of things that happened. He didn't order business cards for me. Who cares? But I used that as an excuse not to work. He didn't want me. He didn't want to order business cards. I used it as an external excuse. And when we live our lives outside of ourselves, then we have no control. If I had said, hey, I'm better than this, I'm going to prove to him, I'm going to prove to myself that I'm worthy. I don't care if I get business cards. I know when I do this job way I know I can, those business cards will come and he'll be proud of himself. And he was actually, and I didn't see it for this, he was actually my biggest supporter. The reason being is because he was challenging me. And instead of taking that as a challenge to be better inside, I took it as a challenge. He doesn't want me. And I gave myself an excuse. So it went on like that for a little bit. And then eventually I did get fired from that job after 3 months. But I learned from it. I learned that. I learned that being like I was got me nowhere. It got me fired. And I went to another lumberyard right after that. And I had a complete change around. I went into that lumberyard saying, I'm going to do what I know I'm capable of doing. I'm going to live my life through. I'm not going to worry about what other people think about me. And in that position, I excelled dramatically. It was a huge turnaround in my life. But I learned from that. I learned that we have to live our lives through us. We don't worry about what other people are thinking about us. We have no control over that. Acknowledgement comes from two places. First of all, comes from God. God will always acknowledge us and always be on our side. But the other places should come from within. We should acknowledge that we can do anything we put our mind to. And if we do that, not worry about what other people are, not even, you know what, I bet a lot of these times when we do this, we worry about what other people are thinking. They're probably not even thinking that. It's in our own head. We're living our lives outside of ourselves. If we just do what we know we're capable of doing, and that is anything, we are resourced to do anything we want to do. All we have to be is resourceful. If we just did that, then we wouldn't give people an opportunity to look down on us or even to think that they are. If we believe in ourselves we're the best, with acknowledgement from God and acknowledgement within ourselves, and anybody else that acknowledges us beyond that is a bonus, and they likely will, rather than deciding for them or without even actually knowing that maybe they're against us, maybe they are just trying to inspire us. And even if they are against us, turn that around into something that will inspire us. That's what I learned from that. I learned to let everything that happens inspire me to keep it within and do what I knew I was capable of doing, and it changed everything for me. I never had another job that went like that for me. Everything from that point on was good for me. I should say, actually, that isn't completely true. I had another position not long ago when I was in Superior, Wisconsin, working at a car dealership. And I let this happen to me again, only I learned a little bit quicker that time. But I had somebody come in and I let them get inside of my head, and I tried to live life outside of myself, and it never works that way. If we live life through us, it always works out. And sometimes we have these lessons more than once. And these challenges are big. It's a hard thing to do, to live your life through you, because that's not what we're taught. We're taught in school to the 5 senses, which are our sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. We're taught to live ourselves in the physical world reactionary. That's what we're taught. The weakest part of us we're taught to use, when it should be spiritual. We should have vision, we should have will, we should have understanding, we should believe in ourselves, we should believe that we're resourced in every possible way. And if we live life like that, we can look out ahead of ourselves and know that any challenge that comes up, we can handle. And even if it is too much at that point, we can always back off and take it in smaller steps, but we are capable of achieving. So that's what I learned from that. What I learned from that time in my life when I let the world around me determine who and what I was going to be, it didn't work out for me. And I doubt it works out for anybody when they live their life like that. Live your life through you instead of to you. You are totally resourced to do anything you want to do. All you have to do is become resourceful and not worry about what people are thinking around you or anything like that. And in this country, we're having lots of problems with that now too. We're all worried about what other people are thinking about us rather than living life through us. We're worried about whatever other people are saying. We're being reactionary. And this country's in trouble because of that right now. We have to get back to being what we know we're capable of being. So that's my little take today. So I hope this finds you well. Once again, this is Mike Larson, and this has been A Moment with Mike. What I do is personal and business mentoring and coaching. I create sales, leadership, coaching, and team building processes and hiring processes for businesses. If you like this message, look for more like them. I usually do two of them a day. I do a video about a question I put on Facebook in previous days and talk about what people have said on that. I had one this morning, and actually Lynn was one of the people I put on that. She's on this right now. But the other thing is I do a 7 o'clock live every night. If you have an idea of something you'd like me to talk about, I'd be happy to talk about it. Even if you don't want me to mention names or anything like that, we can talk about it. Email me at mike@inspiredmotivatorleadership.com, or you can text me on Messenger or put a message right on here. I see Chad is here. I see Lynn is here. Wendy, I'm sure, is here. Brianna, nice having you. Latif, I hope I'm getting that name spelled right, but thank you for the message. And if there's anybody else, I think there's other people that were on that aren't here anymore, but anybody else, I thank you for joining me. If there's anything I can talk about, just send me a message. I'd love to. Have a super fantastic, there's Jonathan now also. Have a super fantastic evening, and we will talk soon.